Hi Neelabh, thank you. Welcome. Let's wait for a few more people to join us. Hi Mohini, thank you for joining. Good evening to you. Hello Keto Lifestyle Guide, thank you for joining. Good evening. Let's wait for a few more people. Till that time, if you guys have any questions for me, ask me in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Hi Sana, thank you for joining. Good evening. If you guys have any questions for me, you can ask in the comments before we start today's session. I have a very special author guest with me who will be joining us in a few minutes. Before that, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me in the comments. Hello Namit, thank you for joining. Hello Tina, thank you for joining. Good evening. If you guys have any questions for me, please ask me in the comments before we start today's session. I'll wait for a minute or so more for more people to join us. Hello Firoz, thank you for joining. So today's guest is going to be another author like myself, and he has written two fictional books. I have read one of his books, and it was one of the few good books that I have read recently. And after reading it, I had very many questions for him. As an eager reader of the book, I wanted to know how the story came about, what was his thought process behind it. So that's why I have invited him to today's author collaborative session, and he is going to join us in a bit. I am going to invite him now to the session. And hello, Samir. Thank you for joining. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Hey, hi, Neelabh. Good evening.
Okay, so are we live now?
Yes, we are live now.
Okay, so how are you? How's Netherlands treating you?
So far, so good.
Okay.
It's quite different from India, and the weather here is so cold. I am missing the humidity of Mumbai.
All right. Yeah, it's got to be. It's Europe, right?
Yeah.
Even it's yeah, northernmost Europe.
Yes, and it's quite cold. And I'm
Yeah.
not someone who enjoys the winters, so you can imagine.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Mumbai. Even in Mumbai, I don't think you will see such a threatening cold.
Never. And
Yeah.
Mumbai doesn't have winters at all. It's a joke. We have been getting a little cold weather since the past few years, but Mumbai doesn't have winters.
Right. Right.
How is the weather in India? Tell me about that.
Here in Delhi, it's still summer. It's still, scorching summer. So we have seen very few rainfall in Delhi, not as much as Mumbai. So
Okay.
yeah, we are waiting for winter.
Oh yeah, well, I've heard that the Delhi winter is quite extreme as well.
Yeah, Delhi winter is, it gets quite cold somewhere in December and early January, and also quite polluted. Not really, winters are not really as good as it was used to be a decade ago, but
Okay.
we got to live with it. We are living with COVID, so we can live with pollution as well.
Definitely. We are
Yeah,
adapting as humans. That's
right.
what we do, right?
Okay. I see a lot of guys have joined Yeah,
So we have
my friend Vedant
both.
has joined. Hello,
Yes.
everyone. Good evening. Dharani has
Very
also
good
joined.
evening. Yes. Hello. Thank you all for joining. Very kind of you to join us on a Sunday evening. When you might have had the plans and you have planned to join us. Thank you very much. So, Neelabh, let's start by a small introduction. Can you tell the viewers about yourself first?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I am a mechanical engineering professional, and I have been working with premium motorcycle manufacturers for past 10 years. So academically, I have nothing to do with writing, but I was always a passionate storyteller. Right from my childhood, when I was a kid, I used to sketch comic books and color it with crayons and give it to my friends to read. And there used to be a lot of stories, fantastical elements like Superman, Batman, dinosaurs, Neo of Matrix. So I used to mix them all, make a small comic book, and used to give to my friends. But as I grew up, I joined this rat race of engineering and forgot this passion for storytelling.
Hmm.
And after many years, when I joined corporate industry, my first job, I used books as as an escape from the stressful and this dull corporate life. And from there, my interest in reading developed. And from there, I realized that why not use this writing as an as an outlet for my passion for storytelling, which I have locked away in some in some box, hidden box. So I thought writing could be the way through which I can relive my passion for storytelling. And from there, I began my journey as a writer. And after these many years, I have written two books, and I look forward to write more. Yeah. So
So
this
I
is
have read
my
one
story.
book. I have read one book written by you, and I absolutely loved it. So, and I'm looking forward to
Uh,
reading your first book. That was your debut book,
sure,
and I hope that you continue writing even more, so that we
sure, sure.
keep
Writing
getting
is
more
right now.
better
Writing is
stories from you.
I mean,
You
writing
were
is
saying?
right now for me is a part-time profession, but I wish someday it becomes my full-time profession. I leave my mundane this corporate job and dedicate my full time for my passion.
Yeah, I hope you will be able to do that soon because that way we get more stories from you, right?
Yeah, sure.
So after reading your book, Spy Agency, which
Yeah,
is a detective novel, I had a very many questions because I'm a curious reader and I like to know what went behind the writing process of all the books. So I wanted to ask a few questions if you are ready to answer them.
sure, sure. Go ahead.
So my first question to you is this: you have written two books, and I wanted to know how much time it took for you to write both these books.
Okay, so I mean, from the idea to getting the real physical book, it is quite a long span. I mean, you're also a writer. It's quite a long process. So the day you get the idea for a story and the day you get the final copy in your hand, it is for me for my first book. It was, I guess, 2.5 years. So, because I was writing my first book, I had no prior experience of writing. So I had to read a lot, I had to research a lot. And then, after I finished my first draft, I have to give it to several editors because that was a really, and not the first draft, but not really up to the mark because I was writing first time. But
Hmm.
slowly I learned, and my first book took me around 2.5 years, and my second book also took me the same around 15 to 18 months. So this is I mean, I think every author takes this much of time. You need to spend some time with your book. So yeah, it takes, and it takes a lot of energy. It sucks a lot of energy out of you to finish just a single book. It
I
looks
know.
quite easy to write a 150 200 pages book, but yeah, it drains an entire amount of energy from your brain.
People come and tell us. I'm sure people must
Yeah,
have come and told you also. Especially people have come and told me because my books are very short. They say they have completed reading it in one day, or some of them even say they completed it in a couple of hours, which is very kind of like, oh my god, I spent 2 years on it and you just finished it in 40 minutes.
right, right. I can understand that.
Yeah, so the book Pie Agency, it's a detective story,
Right.
as I mentioned earlier. So I wanted to know what kind of novels and stories did you read which became an inspiration for that, and what kind of research went into it?
Okay, so I love thrillers right from the beginning of my journey with reading. I started reading with these crime novels and thrillers. So, and I like to write what I love to read. So, I read Ashwin Sanghi. If we talk about Indian writers, I read Ashwin Sanghi. Then I read Vish Dhamija. Then in terms of these US and UK writers, there are tons of writers I have read. James Patterson is one. Then I have read these classics also like Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, and there are many others authors I have read. So it's basically writers are not my inspiration, is the book that are my inspirations. So maybe if I'm reading 12 books this year, so all 12 might be from different authors. So it's the story, the language that inspires me, not necessarily the author. Sometimes it happens that some book of one particular author I loved it, but other book I don't love it. So, but yeah, the names which I told you, James Patterson and Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, these are my favorite authors. And if someone is aspiring writer in for in crime genre and thriller genre, they must give it try to these authors at least.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, I am sure those who are, avid readers like us, they have heard these names and getting recommendations from you about that to write in that genre. I'm sure they are going to go ahead and read and get inspired as well.
Right.
My actually next question to you is a little, based on your book. Let's focus on your book now. So, I've read it,
Mhm.
so I know that the
Yeah. And
protagonist.
let me show people about the book which we are talking. This is Spy Agency. This book we are talking about right now. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for doing that. Otherwise, people will wonder what we are talking about. So, yes, the book that Neelabh just showed, it is titled Spy Agency and it is a detective book. So, my question to you is lead detective in it. It's a female protagonist. How difficult was it for you as a male author to write from a female point of view?
Right. See, before I tell you, let me tell you why I chose a female detective as compared to the male detective. So, in one of the articles, I was just scrolling to my Facebook page one day, and I came across one article about first female private investigator of India. So her name is Miss Rajni Pandit, and when I checked that, when I read that article and found that she is running a private detective agency. She is the first female private detective of India, and she is running her private detective agency since 1980s. So more than 35 to 40 years, and she is the first female private investigator. And in a country like India, where parents are still very skeptical of their daughters to send to a different town to study, or they are very skeptical about what kind of job they are going to do, especially in the small town. And it came as a thrilling fact that a lady more than 35 or 40 years ago started a profession like private detective. I mean, it is quite a pleasant surprise from me. And at that moment, I thought that people must know that there are female private investigators as well in India, and that's why I decided that my protagonist is going to be a female private detective. Now it was going to be because my first book, the protagonist was a police officer, male police officer. So it was really difficult for me. So I started reading articles on how to create a strong female characters. Articles from really great websites which are known for publishing and known for helping authors. So I found a very interesting tip in that. So the author of that article wrote that a strong female character should not be a dude in a woman's clothing. So your female character is strong doesn't mean she has to be same as what men do.
Hmm.
So that was really a good tip, and really it was difficult for me from there to create a personality of a strong woman who is just not like a man. Like generally we get into this trap that a strong woman means she knows to ride bike, or she knows fighting, she knows I mean this gunfight. So it was really difficult, but I kept all the knowledge I had from the strong women around me. I took those characteristics from them, like they are career oriented, they are
Hmm.
target oriented, they care for people. They are not like they're not like dudes. Oh, I don't care for anyone. They care for people as well, and they care
Hmm.
for family as well. So those kind of characteristics I adopted in my female protagonist. So if you read the book, you find that these characteristics are there in the protagonist
Yes.
Rashmi Purohit. Yeah.
Yes.
So it was a difficult job, but maybe I have done good job or not. Maybe it's up to the
That's
readers to.
a good
Yeah.
job. That's why this question came to me. That being a male author, you have chosen to write about a female protagonist, and she's such a strong person. You don't ever feel that it has been written by someone of the opposite sex. It feels like somebody who knows what a female mind goes through, what a female thinks through. That's what is visible in the character of Rashmi Purohit. That's why I asked the question, which now you have told us how you managed to do it, which is a great tip. Thank you so much. I mean, you took inspiration from the women around you, and you read up on how to go about such characters. That's great.
Yes.
Thank you so
I mean that. Yeah. That's but that was the practical. I mean that was a practical approach. I
much.
couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't have.
definitely.
Yeah.
I had actually a few more questions, and my next question is, what's your writing process like? If you could give us top three tips about your writing process and to aspiring writers, what would?
Okay, so writing process, I don't have a very structured writing process. Many authors do that. They start with, outlining. They make bullet points of their story. They make character profiles. So I do all those things, but it is all there in my head. I don't do it on a paper or on my laptop. So yeah, like every other book, the story starts with the idea. So I get an idea, but I don't straight away jump into writing. Oh my God, got a brilliant idea and I have to write a book on it. I don't straight away jump into writing. I develop that story. Most importantly, what I do is I develop characters. So who are going
Hmm,
to be the characters in my book? What
hmm,
will be their ambitions? What do they want to achieve? What are their fears? What are the things that are going to stop them from achieving their aim? And so I make a list of all these characters in my book. So there is a protagonist, there is a character who will support the protagonist, there will be characters who are going to oppose the protagonist, there will
hmm,
be characters who are from outside they are supporting, but from inside they are not supporting the main protagonist. So when I think about these characters, the story automatically starts to develop. So
hmm,
I follow the character, I get into their head, I follow their journey, and I keep on writing. And so if you talk about three tips, so first tip is definitely reading, which I've told you before that before without reading you cannot. Reading is like a fuel for the writers. Second tip is at least get your character's journey sorted before you begin
hmm,
writing the actual book. Before
hmm,
you jump onto, I mean, you just get an idea and jump onto your draft. Before that, at least get sorted a list of characters, like my 4 or 5 characters. They will be start from point A and they will end at point B. So this
hmm,
is the second tip. And third tip is you should know what is going to be the end of your story.
hmm,
So if you don't know, it's like you today I go downstairs and sit in my car and I begin my journey and I don't know where do I have to go. So I keep on going round and round and I mean it could be hours, days or months. I don't know where I'm going. So you must know where the end is.
hmm,
So if you get these things sorted, like you reading, then your character's profile or maybe outlining of your story and knowing the end. So if you know
hmm.
these three things, you won't ever feel, you don't ever face the writer block or any hindrance in your journey of writing. So
Thank you
that's
so
what I
much.
follow. Yeah.
Yeah, some great tips. Yeah, because what you said about sitting in the car and not knowing your destination, that's a great analogy for writing a
Right,
story.
right. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen many of my friends. They get a brilliant idea, And I'm also blown by, oh, what a good idea you have come across. And they straight away get into chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, and they're like, यार मजा नहीं आ रहा, story में it doesn't get got the potential to turn into a, into a novel. Why is it happening? Because you don't know where is the end, where you have to go, or you don't know what your character wants. You know what they want until chapter 3, but after chapter 4 you don't know what your character wants. So these things, I mean, if you get sorted, it will help you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think somebody
Yeah.
has commented also, noted, sir. I think it's
Okay.
author. So my next question to you is, if you can go back and change one thing about your writing journey, that we all have made rookie mistakes in the beginning of our writing career. So if you could go back and change that one mistake that you made, what would it be? And what that would be your advice to the upcoming writers also.
There are quite a lot of mistakes which I want to change. So, so there is not not a single mistake which I can point out. There are a lot of mistakes I've made, and I still do those. But yeah, it is for this. I mean, not only for the field of writing, for any creative field, which for which you are passionate about and you want to do good. Uh, you need to be well prepared before you begin the journey. You
Hmm.
need to prepare yourself for whatever you are going to do. Generally, what happens, we are so passionate enough for a thing that we straight away jump into the battle. It's like,
Hmm.
you are so passionate about fighting, that you just grabbed a sword and a shield, and you jump into the battlefield. You have no sword, so I mean the sword skill. You
You're
don't have
not
any
trained.
strength. Yeah. So, I mean, so for writers, what is how you can prepare yourself? For writers, you can prepare yourself by reading first, and reading not just, you wrote 4 5 books and you thought that, okay, I've learned what all things there in the writing. You have to read.
Hmm.
Maybe you have to make a list of books. Like, I have to read at least 10 books in my genre before I begin,
Hmm.
or I have to read at least 15 books in my genre. And also you have to analyze that reading in itself doesn't, it won't help. You have to analyze the reading also. So what mistake I did, I read some 4 5 books before I begin my first book. I read some four five thrillers, and I thought, okay, now I understood what are the nuances of writing, and what are the techniques. I wrote first draft. Then, it is a very popular tip that after you finish your first draft, you have to leave it for maybe a month or so. I left it, and I went back to reading again. And then after writing my first draft, when I read the the next book, I realized that my first draft is shit. I have written, it is not even worthy. Even if someone gives that book for free, even I won't read my book.
Okay.
So after wasting for more than 1 year or 1.5 year, I realized that I was not well prepared before I went into the battlefield. So I read again some 10, 20 books. I analyzed many things. I analyzed in writing, the storytelling
Hmm.
technique, the prose, the words they use, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs, everything. All the smallest things I noticed. I underlined it, and I made a list. So I prepared myself for being a writer doesn't mean you have to just write a good story. That was my thinking before I began my first draft. So being a writer means your story should be good. Your prose should be such that the writer, the reader, you should pull reader really inside the pages into the world which you have created. So I used to think that having a good story is enough. I don't need to have all those things. Even if my language is very simple, even if my book doesn't have many description, it should be okay. But no, these things matter. That's why great writers are great, and that's why not everyone becomes a James Patterson or Agatha Christie. So this is the reason. So that wisdom came very late, when I wasted around 18 months on my first draft.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you learn by your mistakes.
Yeah, as I said, rookie mistakes. We have all made them.
Yes.
I also made them, and I think of myself 2 years back
Mhm.
ago, what Manali was and what Manali is today. I feel I was so stupid 2 years ago. So that's what happens.
But yeah, rookie error.
So
Everyone
yeah,
does that. This is one of my quote in Pi agency. Rookie error. Everyone does that.
Oh yes, there is correct. I have also marked it in my reading, I think. So my
Okay.
last question to you again is
Hmm.
what can we expect from you in terms of what next? Are you working on something currently?
Yeah, I do really working on my next book, and I'm working on it for since last 15 months or so. So I think I'm already into the fifth draft. So first draft was already finished during the lockdown. Thanks to lockdown, I could finish my first draft, and after that I'm into the fifth draft. And I mean it is a very long book, and I'm not really sure how or who is going to publish it, because compared to Pi Agency, it is three times the size of Pi Agency. So
Oh,
I think it will go around 500 to 600 pages. So that's why I'm working on multiple drafts to reduce, because the book has gone very long. There are many characters, many plots and subplots. It is going to be a very complex book. It is a part of a series, and there are many plots and subplots. There is politics, there is mythology, there is history, and so I'm sure readers are going to enjoy it. But as I said, writing even a single book, gets your, I mean, it sucks all the energy out of your brain.
it does. It
So
does. I
yeah,
completely agree.
and also I am also working on outlining I am at the plotting stage of my the next book in the Pi Agency series. So this Rashmi Purohit series will also, I will continue this series in parallel, because people
Okay.
are really liking the characters. So I want to move the series ahead.
Even
So these
I'm
two things
excited to
I'm
read
working
the
on.
second part of this series. Rashmi Purot, it was a very enjoyable read for me. So I'm excited. We have two more books coming from you. Work in progress.
Yeah. Okay. Hope so.
So Neelabh, I leave the stage open to you now. If you have any questions for me, I will be happy to answer them.
Yeah, definitely. From the day I read your book, I have a lot of questions for you, and I was waiting for something like this where I can, I will face to face with you and ask you the questions. So I have a lot of questions for you, and I hope you don't mind.
Not at
So,
all. Tell me.
your book, The Art of Being Grateful and Other Short Stories. There are many short stories in that book, and most of these stories are life stories.
Hmm.
They are very relatable, and the characters are very real, very authentic. They are like, what we say, girl next door or guy next door. And even the themes are such that, when I was reading in each story, I was feeling, yeah, to ye to mere sath bhi hua hai. I've gone through this. So whatever the characters are going through, I was feeling that those things were happened to me. So I want to know, are those stories, are they really inspired from real life, or you have those experiences or your friends? So I'm curious about this.
So yes, most of these stories they are inspired from real life incidents. It is either my own experience or an experience of someone who shared it with me over a conversation,
Yeah,
one two-time conversation or something like that. But yes, they are
right, right.
inspired from, and the people who have read it must have realized कि ये तो मेरी story बता रही है यार. But it's not just one incident in particular. They are an amalgamation of many incidents.
Right, right. I mean, that's what we author do best. We pick up stories from real lives and make a fiction out of it. So our stories are not really outlandish. They are from the people like you and me, and
Yeah. So yes, they are based on real life inspirations and incidents.
So, I also wanted to know which, I mean, there are many stories in your books, but there must be one story which would be closest to your heart, or from which you can connect the most, or you enjoyed the most while writing. So, what is that story? Which one is it?
My favorite story from the book is this one, Love in the Air. And without giving away any spoilers, I want to tell the viewers that it's based on LGBTQ. It's a theme which very few Indian authors have touched in the recent years. And as a
Okay.
writer myself, it was very challenging for me because those who have read it must have seen the never seen the ending coming because that comes as a real
Yes.
shocker.
Right. Right, right, right.
As a writer, for me, keeping that gender of the other person a secret was very exciting and challenging. And once I was done with it, and I shared with few of my close people who I trust with, giving me honest opinions, they were like, "This is going to be a bomb. This is going to blow away people's mind." That's why that's my favorite.
Yeah, even I want to say it, but yeah, as you say, no spoiler. I cannot reveal the climax. But yeah, definitely it was a kind of shock element as well, but a pleasant shock, you can say, a pleasant surprise.
Yes.
So if you talk about my favorite story from your book, I love this story, Self Happiness Above All, because this story he hit the right chords with me because in this story I have to give a little bit spoiler if I if I may please. So uh, you know I mean, this story from right from the childhood we face these things which you showed in the story. Like when we are kid, our marks are being compared with others. When we are in
Hmm.
college, our grades are being compared with others. When we are in job, we think, okay, everything is now done and we will be alone, left happy in our life. Then people start comparing the your salary on your designation with others. Then after you get married, you will think that, okay, now everything is done, now we can live happily ever together. They will start comparing your partner with others. Then when you will have kid, they will start comparing your kid with other kids. So I mean,
Yes.
you really picked the right emotions. And when I was reading it, I was really getting frustrated when how the characters or what the characters were going through. And I could feel that even I get annoyed when people come do these things, when relatives or our neighbors. So you wrote it such beautifully, that story, that I was feeling for the characters, and like them, I was getting annoyed. So in the end, the characters, what they do is they decided that we are not going to bother about anyone. We are not here to make anyone happy, but ourselves. So we will think about our happiness and what me and my partner and my kid is happy about, and we are not going to think what others are happy about. So what is the thought process behind this and this story? I mean, you also faced similar situation, or what was the that spark that I mean that spark that sparked in your head, the idea, how it sparked in your head?
So this story, actually, the self happiness above all that you are talking about, this one and the
Mhm.
first one, Wand in Love, these two have been the most popular choice of all the readers who have read this book, and it has struck a chord, like it has struck the right chords with every reader. And self happiness above all connected to readers so well that I was myself shocked to when I was writing the story, I thought it is only me who has gone through all this. But when the reviewers and readers came back to me and told me that this is like their story, I was
Right.
so happy that it's not just me. I am I am able to provide a relatable story for so many people. And yes, the character Manvi is definitely in my own a version of myself, an older version of myself. I used to be like that. I was very, very someone who's very affected by that term log kya kahenge. But
Yeah. Right. 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 Exactly.
as Manvi makes that progress, I also made that kind of progress, though the later part of the story has not happened in my life till now, but
Okay.
yes,
Right.
that's how I have grown as a person. And if I had to pick one story which was my own kind of autobiographical note in this particular book, that would be the story. That's why I think it has connected so well with the readers.
Yes,
As,
right, right. Even I'm surprised to know that it has connected with a lot of such a large number of people. But yeah,
yeah, so that has been one of the most well received stories in the book.
right, right. And we have talked about our favorite stories, so let's talk about the story which you find most difficult to write. I mean, which really needed your. I mean, you have to push yourself hard. You have to. I mean, that was out of your comfort zone, if you can say that. So, what was that story which was most difficult for you?
The first one, Wand in Love, it was very much out of my comfort zone because I have not written thriller ever before, and I I don't know why I chose such an hour to write it. I wrote it in the middle of the night, and you know how the story is. It's kind of spooky, and when Ashna receives that call and I was writing that scene out,
Right.
it was while
Right.
writing also it was giving me goosebumps. So, and
Yeah.
I I am a very fattu person in real life. I get easily spooked. I am very
Okay.
afraid of spirits. So writing that was like kind of a out of the world experience literally for me.
Yes. Right. Right. And in even the ending of that story, you left it in a cliffhanger. Let the reader decide whether it's whether I don't want to give spoiler, but you left for the readers to decide those characters were going through.
The ending
So that
actually it was
cliffhanger was
quite
also,
challenging.
that was the USP of that story, the cliffhanger in the ending.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you honestly that ending of the story we have changed it 4 times, 4 or 5 times, because
Okay.
yeah, initially when I wrote it, I was giving an explanation kind of a thing. Then when I send it to my beta readers, my trusted sources, they were like, "Don't explain. That takes away from the charm of the story. Don't give an explanation as to what happened and who was the person and what is going to happen now. Leave it up to the readers. Let it be a cliffhanger." So we worked upon it 3 to 4 times, and that's how the story
Okay.
came to be. And imagine me being a fattu, I had to write that story 4 or 5 times. So that was a really
Right.
challenging experience for me.
Okay, and since we are talking about writing process, so if you can share your writing process as well, so that our viewers can get some pointers.
So my writing process is I am a full-time writer.
Okay,
I'm Yeah, that's my bread and butter. Besides, of course, my books, which also provide me food. But other than that, I'm a blogger and freelance content and creative writer and an editor as well. So during the day, my day looks like dedicated to blogging and creative writing, other stuff. And after 6 or 7 p.m., my day goes into the other kind of writing for books or writing for online media. That's the kind of schedule that I have. But
okay,
if I have to give out, uh, two to three tips, I would say that having a schedule definitely helps. Dedicating a certain number of
right,
hours every day to reading and writing, that helps for those who are
right, right,
beginning out, or even those who are well established and are trying to look for a growth.
right.
So having a schedule has definitely helped me. Second thing
Yes,
is,
yes.
second thing is having a daily target. That also helps. Like
Okay,
write 500 words and read 100 words or something like that. Start
okay,
start with something small. Maybe writing
okay.
200 words and reading 100 words. That should be feasible. Writing 200 words
Right,
would not be that difficult initially, at least I believe.
right.
And third thing is, whenever you are writing, yeah, have in mind that what kind of outcome you are looking for.
Okay.
For instance, if you are looking for, putting it on the blog or writing for a book, you should know which
Hmm.
medium you are writing to. That also matters.
Right,
So these are the things I've
right.
learned with because one of the stories in the book, someone pointed it out that it looked more like a blog rather than a story, which
Okay,
also I reflected upon, and that made me realize that writing for a book and writing for a blog are completely two different things, and that's why keeping that in mind while writing is also important. So these are
yeah,
the things I've learned over the years through
right, right.
writing.
Yeah.
We have had
The
a
daily
lot of
target.
people
That,
joining us, which has been good. I was surprised.
yeah,
Yeah, quite a few people joined us.
right.
Yeah,
So that
so
the daily target thing you said, it is really helpful. After these many years, from when the lockdown started, I implemented this daily target thing this year itself, after more than 4 years of writing. So it does really help when you I don't keep a target of number of words, but I keep a target of number of. It is
yeah,
an
having a target of
intermediate
number.
or expert level. So when you are a beginner level, you must keep a target of number of words. But yeah, daily target. The concept is you must have a daily target. What it is,
Yes,
how much it should be, it is you to decide. So like
yes,
it's like again the sitting in a car and driving analogy. when you're driving, you have to, keep a target of maybe you have to drive 1 kilometer or 10 kilometers like that. Otherwise, you don't know when you are going to reach the destination, even if you know where you have to go. So again, the car analogy.
Definitely, because
Yeah.
this is the kind of a mistake that I also made in the initial years of my writing. Without any schedule or without any focus, I used to just write every day, which didn't
Right.
lead to anything fruitful. So having a schedule helps definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question. So, what next after this book? What we can expect from you?
So far I have written in fiction. I have explored three genres of fiction. Now I am, venturing into non-fiction, and currently I am talking with a few publishers for the next book, and it's going to be a non-fiction book based on the life stories of inspiring women who are doing multiple professions, like yourself
Okay.
actually,
Okay.
because
Oh, I'm honored.
yeah, in the other gender, women who are doing multiple professions, like besides a full-time job or besides
Yeah.
doing one thing, they are doing two to three things professionally. Those are the kind
Yeah.
of women I'm going to be focusing on in this book.
Yeah. It is much needed now because many times people complain that, oh, I have a full-time job, how can I pursue my passion, I don't have time. So stories like this will make them push them to
Yeah,
follow the pursue
so
their.
that's the kind of goal I have with this book, and to also send out a message that you can be inspired by yourself and the people around you. You don't need public figures or celebrities to be take inspiration from. We
Right,
ourselves
right,
and
right.
the people around us have such
Yeah.
inspiring stories to have such inspiring stories and achievements to tell about. That's what
you
the
don't,
goal
you
is
don't
with this book.
Yeah, you don't have to look up to the celebrities. You look around and you get inspiration. That's really
That's yeah.
really good thing. That's my takeaway from this session today.
Yeah, and my takeaway is that driving analogy. I totally loved that analogy.
I'm a
I'm
mechanical
going
engineer.
to
I
keep
keep
that
on
in
making
mind.
such analogy around automobiles and all. I'm a perk or
Yeah.
mechanical engineer.
So it's related to both your fields, right?
Right.
So this has been a wonderful conversation, Neelabh. I absolutely enjoyed, and you gave out some great tips, and it was so
Right.
invigorating. And quite an engaging conversation to have on a Sunday night.
Yeah, that's really I enjoyed this. I was doing actually this is the first live session I'm doing today too. So I'm thankful to you. You helped me a lot in sailing through this. Maybe from next live session I will be trained. What I was telling you.
You will
You
become
have
a
to
pro.
train yourself. Yeah.
You will become a pro in sometime. Then you will take sessions with me.
And that will, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward for that day as well.
I hope our viewers also enjoyed whatever kind conversation we had and the question answer session that we did. I hope it was helpful for them. Big thank you to all of them who joined us and to those who have not been able to listen to our full conversation. This video will be going up on my IGTV and on my YouTube channel, so you can always go back and have a look again. Thank you, Neelabh, once again, and good night. It
Thank
was
you,
great.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye, Neelabh.